Hello and welcome to another edition of Chatting with the Chief. We're here on location today at the Cobb Public Safety Training Facility, and I'm joined here by Chief Mike Register. Chief, thank you once again for your time and joining us today. And I want to start out, I know that there have been some branding changes with the police department. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, I think it's important that we as a police department, we want to understand what our mission is. And when I say we want all the officers to understand, what we are trying to accomplish with our mission. And we certainly want the citizens too to understand that. And so the three words that describe what we're trying to do is commitment, service, partnership. And that is going to be our brand. And what we are trying to communicate to the community is that we, the Cobb County Police Department, is committed to giving the citizens the most professional service possible while developing and strengthening and certainly understanding the importance of community partnerships. So again, commitment, service, partnership.
All right, thank you, Chief. And I also understand that there have been some changes to the training curriculum. Can you explain a little bit more about what those changes are?
Well, in the state of Georgia, for a police officer to be certified as a police officer, they have to undergo a Georgia mandated curriculum. Right now, that curriculum is 408 hours. And it's, when I say Georgia Post, I'm talking about the Georgia Police Officers and Standards Training Council. And they mandate what officers have to have as a minimum to be certified in the state of Georgia. Well, currently, the police department, we have our own academy. It's 26 weeks. And when we look at the minimum training that Georgia requires, 408 in the mandate subjects, we at the Cobb County Police Department, we actually give 576 hours. What we've done is we've taken the subjects that amount to 408 hours and we've expanded them to 576. Plus, we also give additional training that equates to an additional 345 hours. And so we give our police officers a lot of training because, man, training is so important. When I look at my 4 priorities, certainly training is number one. We've got to give our officers not only the best training, but we've got to make sure that we give them training that will help them function effectively in today's environment. Second priority is leadership, making sure that we are giving our officers the best leadership possible, and also giving the community the best leadership possible in addressing issues that we see in today's environment. Accountability, certainly we want to hold the department accountable in what we do and how we service the community, and also my last priority is the partnership that we share with the community.
All right. And Chief, just another question about that. How long did it take to get that new curriculum into effect? How far back did it go before it took effect?
Well, the police department has had its own academy since the late 90s, and it began with a 17-week curriculum that again expanded on the foundational curriculum that was required by the state. After I took over as chief in June of 2017, we actually did a review of the curriculum to make sure that our curriculum was up to date and to make sure that our curriculum prepared the officers to go out and be a police officer in 2018. We've expanded on some subjects, but we've also added additional subjects pertaining to community policing, implicit bias, guardian philosophy, and several other subjects to include critical incident training, CIT training, that helps the officer understand and to deal with individuals that are having some type of mental or emotional emergency.
All right. And so I hear that some technology will be helping these officers train. Can you give us a little sneak peek of that?
Yeah, we try to have a comprehensive approach to training. And certainly technology is something that we are trying to leverage to help our officers, to help us give better training to our officers and to help our officers learn better. One of the, or more effectively, one of the pieces of technology that I'm very proud of was recently purchased by the county and by the citizens for the police department, and it is a simulator that helps officers make good, sound decisions when faced with use of force situations.
All right, sounds good. And we will actually take a look at that simulator here. All right, thanks, Sergeant Turman. Thank you for your time this morning. So looking at the training prop here, it looks like an oversized video game. Can you explain to us exactly what this is?
Yes, this is our brand new use of force simulator. It allows us to run recruits and officers through a multitude of scenarios. There's roughly 800 scenarios that we have loaded onto the computer. We also get updated scenarios from the manufacturer every 2 months. So depending on things that happen in the real world or, unique situations, we can have a constant flow of new scenarios for them to go through. As you can see, we have a 3-screen system here. It gives us the capability to do a 180-degree training environment, which is very beneficial for us because it places the officer, kind of immerses them into the situation, which brings that element of realism as opposed to just staring at a screen. What you have is there's a computer behind the screen and there's a controller that sits behind a desk. As the scenario is queued up, the controller has the ability to use what we call branching. So depending on how the officer is interacting with the scenario and what they're verbally communicating to the suspect in the scenario, the controller can choose a certain branch option. So if the officer is using proper technique, proper tactics, and proper commands, we can branch to where it becomes a de-escalation situation. If they're not doing things correctly, we can choose an alternate branch and the outcomes are different. We're really fortunate to have this system because it gives us the ability, again, to put the officers in these scenarios to help us make better decisions when it comes to de-escalating a situation. There's a multitude of scenarios on our system right now that focus on EDP, which is an acronym for emotionally disturbed person. Unfortunately, in today's society, we're constantly confronted with individuals who have mental health issues, and we really want to focus on, again, de-escalating that situation to bring a more favorable outcome for the department and for the community, of course.
This looks like a really interactive and cool training technique and prop to use. What were some of the things that you heard from some of the recruits that have used this?
Well, the realism is great. Again, the stress levels that we want to put on them, it's really having the desired effect that we're looking for. The recruits coming through, when they're going through the scenarios, their heart rates are elevated. We can control this room, this environment to again, bring the realism. We have the blue lights, so we want their stress levels up. We want to see how are they going to react to this situation as opposed to how are they going to react in the real world. And we want to be as real as possible. The system has a multitude of functions. It has what's called a shoot-back cannon. If it's a lethal force situation and the individual on the screen presents a gun, we have the ability to shoot a rubber ball at the individual and so they get that effect of, hey, I need to utilize cover. That reinforces the muscle memory, the cover we have provided that if they're not utilizing that properly, there could be lethal consequences for them in the future. Another great capability we have a mobile system. So you see the 3 screens here. Our mobile system is 1 screen. Now that system can be taken to any of our precincts for training. A lot of times it's difficult for the officers to get out here, with the hours they work and as busy as we are, so we can bring the training to them. They can go through the training, they can log how much training they have through that mobile system, and we can take that anywhere. It just packs up in a suitcase and we can load it up in a car. So we're very fortunate to have that also.
Sounds good. I heard you say a rubber ball. Sounds like it might hurt a little bit.
It does. Again, there is a little bit of pain compliance, and certainly it's very safe. Obviously, we wear safety glasses, but it does reinforce the officer to take the proper safety precautions when the situation presents itself.
And I guess that gives the officer a incentive to not get hit.
Absolutely, absolutely. And some of the other capabilities with the mobile system, it's equipped with a green vest and a green gun. All of this stuff is laser activated. So With the mobile system, when you have that vest on, and if the bad guy points a weapon at you, it vibrates. So it gives, again, that feedback that, hey, I've done something incorrectly, and it's telling my brain I should have made a different decision, and now these are the consequences. So there's physical feedback to part of the training. It kind of brings a 3D aspect to the whole situation. All the tools that we utilize, you know, some of the citizens call it our Batman belt. We got a whole bunch of stuff on our belt. We have those for this system. Our chemical agent spray, and again, everything is laser activated. We have that. Of course, you know, we have our tasers. We also have that for this system, laser activated. So the options that they would have in the real world, they have that can be used for this system.
All right, thank you. And I understand that we'll get a demonstration from one of the recruits to show us how this thing works.
Yes, sir. We're going to have a recruit run through, and you'll be able to watch the recruit, the decisions they make, and you can watch the debrief as we go through teaching them the lesson plan.
All right.
Thank you. Okay, you're being dispatched to an emotionally disturbed person call. It is a female with a dark jacket, a gray hat, and dark pants, and no shoes. 911 caller said she has violently approached multiple people with an axe. Do you have any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, you're by yourself. Backup is not available. Okay?
Yes, sir. Hey, sir, Cobb County Police. Have you seen a woman around here with an axe? Ma'am, Cobb County Police! Go ahead and drop the axe for me. 1059, I got one to go point. She's got an axe. Go ahead and send code 7. Go ahead and drop the axe for me. Tell me what's going on. We can talk, okay? We can get you some shoes, some food. Just go ahead and drop the axe. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead and drop the axe. We can get you some help, okay, ma'am? Yes, ma'am. Go ahead and drop it really slow. Keep going. Go ahead and put it down. All right, now step back away from it, okay? Just slowly step back. All right, thank you. We have help coming, and we're going to need some help, ma'am.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and debrief the scenario you just went through. Unfortunately, today in our society, we deal a lot with EDPs, emotionally disturbed people. It's a very difficult situation for an officer. I promise you, when you get released from the academy, you will definitely run into a situation like this. You did an excellent job in this particular scenario. When you arrived on scene, the first thing you did is you took in the totality of your situation. So you saw the bystander who you immediately recognized was not the suspect, but you went ahead and took that initiative and asked him if he had seen her. Move forward a little bit. Stop it. Okay, so like I was saying, you saw him, you engaged him. Hey, have you seen a lady with an axe? She comes out from around the corner. It's obviously her. You were given a description before her. The minute you see her, you've got good verbal commands. You're telling her, hey, drop the axe. You were informed, the call was that she was violently approaching people with an axe. Obviously, that's a crime, so you took the appropriate actions. You did good with your tactics. When you saw that she had an axe, you immediately started to move to cover. You didn't cross your feet. Now, why don't we want to cross our feet? Right, we don't want to trip up. So you sidestepped, and you immediately had good utilization of the cover. Sometimes, when the recruits go through this, they see it here and they move towards it, but they're not actually utilizing it. You did. You stayed behind it. Forward.
Drop the axe for me, okay? Get out of here. Drop the axe. This stuff belongs to me. This is mine. Get out of here. Ma'am, I'm going to help you, okay? Go ahead and drop the axe. I'm going to get you some food, get you some shoes.
Okay, stop it. Okay, that is excellent verbal commands, okay? You're giving her clear commands to drop the axe, but what else were you doing? Right, we call that you're building a rapport with her, okay? You're telling her, now again, we're dealing with an emotionally disturbed person here. That's already been, that foundation's been laid. We know she has mental issues. So, you're building that rapport, you're gaining her trust. Certainly, if she violently approaches us with an axe, that can progress into a lethal force situation. You're de-escalating the situation. You're telling her, hey, I'm here to help you. I'm going to get you shoes. You know, we can get you some food. We're going to get you help. That's what we want to do to de-escalate. The last resort is using force. We certainly don't want to do that. But if that situation presented itself, you're taking the proper safety precautions. Again, behind the cover, weapon out, which is correct, giving those commands, building that rapport, trying to de-escalate her. Go ahead, forward.
No. I can help you. No. For you, okay? Go ahead and drop the axe for me. Go ahead and lay down the axe for me.
de-escalated it, you got her to set the axe down, and then back away from the axe. Excellent job with the scenario.
All right, so it looks like we got a lot of good information about the training prop. Chief, was there anything else you wanted to discuss today?
I sure do. You know, I'm very honored to let the citizens know that we recently promoted a new major, Major Barry Little. He has served the county for numerous years, and he'll be the new Precinct 5 commander, major, and I think that the citizens are going to be very pleased with the leadership that Major Little will bring not only to Precinct 5 but to the police department, to the community. And what I would like to do is get Major Little to come in and let him introduce himself and tell us in the community a little bit about himself, his background, and maybe his vision.
All right, and I'm joined here by the newly promoted Major Barry Little. Thank you for joining us this morning. And I understand that you'll be going over to Precinct 5. Can you give us a little bit of background about yourself?
Sure. I've been with the department for 25 years, and in that time I've served in the capacity in uniform as both a patrol sergeant and a lieutenant. I've also had the opportunity to work in criminal investigation units for a couple of years. Most of my career, however, has been spent on the tactical side. I was a member of SWAT for 17 years and rose to the capacity of the assistant SWAT team commander. I loved my position there, and I loved the experience that I gained through that. And grateful that we can put some of that to work here. In addition to that, I have some other assignments. I work as the coordinator for the chaplain program. And we have 14 chaplains that volunteer within the department. And they're a great group of folks, and they really have a heart for the community and a heart for our officers. And they work on building the relationship. And that's one of the things I want to transition to out at Precinct 5 as a precinct major. I think that it's really important that you have the vision for the department and that you make certain that that's carried out. And certainly that's the mission that we want to accomplish out at Precinct 5. Precinct 5 is located out on Dallas Highway. I worked there previously for 3 years as the commander of that precinct. I'm glad to be going back home. For me, I've established some relationships in the community. I've established relationships with the officers, and I think it's going to be a win-win for the department. I'm grateful that the chiefs have put their trust and their vote of confidence in me, and hope to make certain that decision is one that will work out very well for everybody in the end.
Can you tell us what exactly your responsibilities will be as major?
Yeah, in the major, you're responsible for carrying out the vision of the department, and we've got core values that we set up: integrity, honesty, professionalism. We're looking at commitment, courage, respect. All of those things are the values that I hope that I will be able to emulate, and that we want our officers to emulate as well. And the other thing were the 4 tenets of conduct, where we need to be respectful of each other, respectful of the community. We need to treat the citizens how we would want our family to be treated. And so I hope that when I get there that we'll bring that together. And it's not that it's already not there, but it's just one of those things, if we keep that going, we're going to work together with the community. So that's one of the things. The other part is you do the day-to-day operations. You're responsible for every operation within that precinct. So we have uniform that responds to all the 911 calls, and they do every proactive activities out there as well. And then we also have a criminal investigation and pawn unit that's located out there as well. So I'll be in charge of that. We've got 4 lieutenants that are out there, and a bunch of great sergeants, a bunch of great officers. So it's a fabulous opportunity to put into motion the vision that the chief has for the department, and grateful to be a part of that.
That sounds good. I know the chief had very high remarks about you. I know that Precinct 3 will probably be a little sad to see you go, but the Precinct 5 community will be happy to see you and see, and learn a little bit more about you. So we thank you, and congratulations on your promotion.
Thank you.